Hello, world. Welcome to Talk with Clads. My name is Katyayani, and I will be your host for today. We have a special guest. We are thrilled to introduce our podcast guest, Dr. Singh. She holds a PhD in political science from Jagran Lake City University, where she also serves as an assistant professor. Dr. Singh plays a crucial role in the research committee of the Center for Global Non-Killing. Her scholarly contributions in the field of non-killing are noteworthy, with numerous papers to her name. One of her most significant papers is a global non-killing index as a critical measure of human development and progress. This was published in the International Journal on World Peace. Additionally, she's the author of the book, The Non-Killing Paradigm for World Peace and Enlightenment. We are excited to delve into her profound insights on today's episode. Dr. Singh, welcome to Talk with Clads. Can you share a brief overview of your academic and professional background leading up to your current role as an assistant professor at Jagran Lake City University?
Okay, thank you for the beautiful introduction, Kadia. So, my name is Dr. Katyayani Singh, and I completed my post graduation in political science. After that, I decided to enter into the profession of teaching, and for that, I started preparing for the exams which are conducted herein to recruit the assistant professors. That is called NET exam, that is the National Eligibility Test. Simultaneously, I had also applied for PhD in my hometown university and also at some other universities. I got call from two, and Jagran being my hometown, decided to opt for that. And within a year after applying for the PhD, I also qualified for the NET exams. And after that, then I applied for the position of teaching at Jagran University. And then from there on, I assumed the role of assistant professor.
Ah, so what sparked your interest in the field of political science and specifically in the area of non-killing?
So, political science was actually a subject in which I had a very keen interest right from my school days. It was a really intriguing subject, and thankfully, all the teachers who taught me this subject were extremely knowledgeable and very good. So, they were able to, maintain that interest of mine in the subject. Whereas science and maths were really not my domains. So I knew if there is something which I can do is that would be through this political science.
Okay.
And yeah, coming to non-killing, that why I chose non-killing. So actually, I was not really. I mean, I had really not decided that what shall be my research topic. I was still exploring as to what should I do in my PhD research thesis. So my guide, that was Professor Dr. Anup Swarup, he who is also currently the chairperson of the Center for Global Non-Killing, the advisory committee of that. He basically introduced me to a recently, I mean, that book was recently published. That was called as the Non-Killing Security in the State. So he actually gave it to me to read it, just to have, uh, just to have my opinion as to what I think about it.
Mm.
And when I read that book, I was very interested, and I thought there are a lot of things in which through this concept that I can explore. And as the idea appealed to me, I decided that I'll take up non-killing.
Okay. So what is the difference between nonviolence and non-killing?
Okay, non-violence basically means that you are not just physically, I mean, you do not just abstain from physically hurting someone, but even you do not develop any kind of wrong or evil thoughts against someone. So you should not be thinking bad about anyone. You should not commit any kind of serious injury to anyone. And that also involves that you should not be killing anyone. So it's relatively, you can say, a harder process or a harder concept to follow, because when you face problems such as that of catching terrorists or any other type of criminals, you have to be a little bit violent. I mean, without being violent, you cannot really catch any terrorist. You have to inflict some kind of physical injury to them. So, on the other hand, non-killing means that you abstain yourself from killing the other human being also, as well
Mm.
as yourself. So there are various dimensions of non-killing as well. So non-killing is more specific, I would say. It's more of a measurable goal. Non-violence is, we say that non-violence is not a measurable goal, and non-killing being more specific, it is a measurable goal, and that is the major difference between non-violence and non-killing.
Okay. So how is the concept of non-killing applicable in today's society?
Okay, so well, as you see, the current society, there are a lot many problems. Whether you talk about homicide problems, whether you see the wars with Ukraine, Russia, or the Israel, Palestine, these are all war-related problems which we see in the news. So we think that okay, this is a major problem. But there are also a lot of instances wherein, the world is plagued by the problems of homicide and suicide. A lot many of us do not know that uh, most of the deaths, or most of the reasons that why people are getting killed, is not just the homicide reasons, but the suicide factor is a very, I would say, it's a highly contributing factor. If you see the world suicide rate, it is comparatively much higher than
Mhm.
the deaths that are coming because of homicides or even by means of wars. So there are a lot many problems which we are facing. I mean, it's not just an international problem, it's a local problem as well. It is a personal problem as well as a problem of the state.
Okay. So can you discuss the mission and goals of the Center for Global Non-Killing and your role within the research committee?
Okay, so well, talking about the mission of the Center for Global Non-Killing, the primary mission is to promote a change towards a measurable goal of a, no, of a killing-free world by means which are open to infinite human creativity. That is to say that we feel that humans have immense potential, creative potential, by which they can change the world without being aggressive to the extent that they actually have to kill. So, in a nutshell, you can say that we are going for a killing free society. That is our mission. Uh, the goals, if you talk about the goals, is how these, how the mission is to be realized is there are different goals which are being highlighted by the CGNK, and one of them, which I am also connected with, is basically to foster the connections and collaboration between non-killing knowledge, education, and problem-solving efforts that are led by global leaders and communities. I mean, there are other ways also by which you can promote non-killing. That is, we track the usage of non-killing terminology and concepts in global discussions. That is, through different conferences and seminars, we try to, track down that how these concepts are being promoted, or even in indirect talks, are people suggesting the idea or concept of non-killing. Also, we try to introduce non-killing resource and initiatives into areas that are marked by violence to mitigate or to halt the killings. And over there, if you talk about my goal as to how I am contributing, so basically, I'm trying to build the non-killing knowledge by doing research in the domain of political science. You see, as political science is concerned with power, politics, and states, and as well as human behavior, we see that there is a close connection between political philosophy and non-killing or killing. As
Okay.
political scientists, we have that potential to see that how power can be wielded by the state without creating an environment in which human life comes at stake. So yeah.
So, how do you approach the process of conducting research on non-killing and pretty much just promoting nonviolent solutions?
Okay, so my approach is basically to go for empirical data because, as I said, non-killing is a measurable goal. So we focus on non-killing data that are being collected widely by international agencies through different parameters, through different indexes. They all have some or the other kind of data, which all countries also keep it with themselves. So the first approach is to have this non-killing, to have this empirical data with us, and then with the help of this empirical data, we develop theories relating to non-killing.
Mm, that's interesting. Very, very interesting. So, what are some key findings or insights from your paper, like a global non-killing index as a critical measure of human development and progress? What were some of the key insights
Okay, so
or
in my paper, basically, I came out with five parameters. That is homicide, capital punishment, suicide, uh, internal war deaths, and external war deaths. That is, internal is basically the rebellions inside the states that take place because of which there are killings occurring. And then there is internationalized wars such as that of Russia and Ukraine. The conclusion of this index was that more people actually die out of suicide, and also capital punishment is one of a significant factor which none of the indexes have in them. So if you talk about the global peace index, if you talk about the happiness index, they don't actually look for how many people are dying out of suicide. Also, capital punishments, there are certain countries who do not disclose their data with respect to capital punishment, saying that it is a state secret. And there are countries who have actually, as per the report of Amnesty International, they have reported that at least 1,000 people are executed a year in China. And this they say that this is an average. The figure they say can be even higher because as the Chinese state authorities do not reveal it themselves, it's you can say it's their speculation by the NGO group that at least these many amount of killings are taking place. And because these are not these are not classified by the state, we do not know what the actual we do not know what the actual figure is, which can be dangerous. And also, there are a lot of debates, with respect to whether capital punishment should be granted or not. There are various countries who justify that we have to go on with it. They say that there are reasons why we have it, and we are not going to do with it. And they just don't go with it. They go with the punishment on a very regular basis. So if you have capital punishment, there are, like, even India is a country which accepts that capital punishment, although there have been recommendations now introduced that capital punishments need to be abolished. But even though we have the provision of capital punishment, it's not usually followed. I mean, in a rarest of the rare case, the Constitution of India defines, in rarest of the rare case, the person shall be given a capital punishment. Otherwise, the punishments are usually of that of life imprisonment. And this is pretty much the summary of the paper, that there are worse things than wars. There are other problems in the society which the academia circle, which the research circle, or even the states do not delve into.
Okay. So I wanted to expand a little bit more. So when you were looking at your metrics, are you looking at worldwide metrics when when you were gathering the data?
Yes, we are looking at the worldwide metrics. So, like every year, I try to develop for each country. We collect data from different sources. That what is the homicide rate in, like, we have a data of like 176 countries. So we classified the homicide rate, the suicide rate, and then we, marked it. We prepared a, you can say, a base as to give markings to that. So, like, we took out the average as of the 176 countries, and then we went for the, the countries which have a higher level of killing, a higher rate of killing, and the countries which have a lower rate of killing. It's pretty much similar to how the Global Peace Index does their marking. So, like, even they have a marking, they do out of 5 marks. Only difference is that their parameters, they have around 23 parameters. But out of those 23 parameters, also we found that they do not uh, they do not take the capital punishment, and they also have not listed the suicide concept while defining peace. So, like, if a country may be considered to be very peaceful, but you can also find that a large number of people are dying out of suicide over there. So then we raised a question that if truly the people are at peace, why are they committing suicide? That means there might be something going wrong.
Um, I was gonna ask you about the suicide, the part about the suicide, but you just literally you answered it without me asking because trying to understand how the suicide played a part in the metric, but you really just answered it without me asking. So how does the global non-killing index contribute to our understanding of human development and progress on a global scale?
Okay, so to answer that, basically, I would say that the purpose of the index is to show that despite the economic progress the countries show, despite the GDP, GDP wealth often uh, are portrayed in the newspapers, the prosperities through different measures. There are different forms of killings which are going around us, and they continue in different areas, and that is something which contributes to undermining of peace and prosperity or development of a nation, because no matter how strong or how economically strong your nation may be, no matter how many how strong it is on the security lines, your intelligence, how strong it may be, but if your citizens are being killed by some or the other reason, that in itself reflects that this progressive parameter is of no significance. And this index just helps in creating a different approach which can be adopted once the nations are aware as to what kind of killings or what is the extent of killing which they are facing. Um, I mean, a lot many times we are actually not aware that what the problem is going, because our analysis is weak. We see a good amount of development in the name of industries. The intelligence is good. You are able to live in a good and wealthy house and you have all the basic facilities with you. We feel that it's all well settled, but then a large number of people also are, maybe they may be dying because, not because of lack of facilities, but maybe because of depression, maybe because of some kind of conflicts which they are, they are unable to find an alternative way. Sometimes people just really feel that, that's the way how you resolve a conflict, just get into a fight, and whatever is the result, whosoever is more powerful, they shall prevail. So sometimes that civilizational mindset is also not there. You have the resources, but still you are fighting.
Okay. So, Dr. Singh, in what ways can the non-killing paradigm contribute to achieving world peace and enlightenment?
Okay, so non-killing paradigm, you see, is like the stepping stone or the foundation stone towards peace and development, or and then later and enlightenment. Till the time we do not learn that we should abstain from killing, till that time, peace will remain a utopian goal. You see, there are a lot of peace theories. I mean, peace is a concept over which scholars have dwelt upon since centuries. Uh, and yet, we see that in the name of peace, there were wars taking place. So, I mean, wars were taking place in the name of peace. So, you can say first step to move towards peace and enlightenment is to learn that killing is not an accepted part of society. Under no circumstances can killing another human being or even killing yourself can it be justified. You have to abstain from that under all circumstances. Once that is achieved, I would say that half your journey towards peace or enlightenment is already done. That's you can say that the stepping stone. We're not saying that peace altogether a different thing, but you have to start with something. You have to start with non-killing, and then gradually only you can have peace.
Okay. So, how do you engage with students and the academic community to raise awareness about the non-killing paradigm?
Okay, so we obviously go in for research and conferences, and recently, like last year, we also had 1 month certificate course the with a money with a university at Philippines, uh, wherein I wherein I had a academic. I mean, there were 5 lectures, I suppose, that were scheduled with them. So, wherein I acquainted them about the ideology of non-killing, and a lot of them were excited about that. Right now, we are at, you can say, right now we are at a very initial stage of propagating the ideas. So we are still connecting with the students. We are still trying to put up the ideas through research conferences and seminars to promote the idea.
Okay. So, what challenges have you encountered in advocating for non-killing and promoting peaceful solutions, especially in conflict-prone like air regions?
Okay, so I would just say there are two main factors when you're speaking about conflict prone regions, promoting non killing in conflict prone regions. One is historical traumas. Second is the civilizational fault lines. By historical traumas, I mean sometimes some kind of traumas the community people go through in the past. I mean, some kind of event may have taken in the place in the past in which they may have been brutally suppressed. Now, this suppression continues on for generations, and even after generations people are not able to come out from this feeling that they have been suppressed by a particular community or by the state. As a result, there is a lot of resentment amongst the people. It's very difficult to convince them that they should be peaceful towards the other side, because what they have faced is something very personal to them. It's not something which we can connect. It's to them, we look as outsiders who are just preaching a utopian idea. So one thing is that. Second, as I said, there are certain civilizational fault lines. That is, there are a lot of differences in the values of certain civilizations which may be highly incompatible with each other. And when such civilizations, they start coming and living together, their values often collide with each other. And s- and not just on one, you can say, on not just one point, they may be colliding on each and every point, that their values may be clashing with each other. So again, to resolve that kind of problem wherein the whole value system is opposite to each other is pretty much challenging. So I would just cite some examples, like there was a phase in Indonesia wherein they faced mass killings. And the mass killings were actually perpetuated on them by the state itself. They had this problem of communism philosophy getting extremely popular. And then there was a right wing which said that communism can get dangerous. So, in order to suppress communism getting popularity, the military over there somehow took control over the state, and then they committed violence on them since decades. And even after the country had come out of the trauma, there was nothing done to address the grievances of the people.
Mm.
And yeah, so it's I mean, the people, I mean, the state even didn't feel sorry for that. There was certain governments which said that okay, they feel sorry, but then some other part of the government who did not agree with these leaders, they dethroned them, and they said that we don't feel sorry. So when these kind of things takes place, it becomes very difficult to convince the people that non-killing or non-violence is the solution, because they see that the other side is continuously committing violence on them and nobody's speaking for them, and then they are being asked to use non-violence.
Oh, I would see how that would be difficult. Very, very difficult. So then how do you see the role of education and academia um advancing the non-killing concept or movement?
uh well, I think the non-killing academia has already done a lot of uh, academic work, research work. Their presence, however, has yet uh, not been recognized by the academic committee at large. A lot many times, we actually face challenge from the peace researchers
Oh.
who actually come out with this with I mean who actually come out with this ideology that we have already covered everything in our peace concepts, in our peace theories. You coming out with a different concept uh, is only causing confusion. So the academic committee, I guess, needs to get a little more active, and especially I feel we have not been able to come inside the curriculum. We have a lot of work done, but the work still has to be inculcated in the educational curriculum. Some of the universities actually have taken up the initiative. They have introduced non-killing theories in their curriculum. I think it's in US or Hawaii where they introduced a non-killing course, non-killing anthropology to be specific.
Okay. So what inspired you to write the book, The Non-Killing Paradigm for World Peace and Enlightenment? And what message do you hope to convey through it?
Okay, actually, this was my research thesis. When I wrote the research thesis, it was pretty much appreciated by all the people who read it and the experts who were, uh, I mean, the experts who had to examine my thesis. So after that, when the kind of you can say the kind of acknowledgement I got from the experts and the other people, me and my guide decided that probably the book is good enough to be turned into a book.
Mm.
The thesis is good enough to be turned into a book. So then we started looking for publishers, and thankfully, when we approached Springer, they said, yeah, they agreed with publishing the book.
So you turned your thesis into a book. Oh,
Yeah.
that's very, very good. So how can individuals and organizations support the promotion of non-killing initiatives and nonviolent practices?
Okay, so I would say that this is one thing which is very important to us because we have created, other than CGNK US, we also have a society in CGNK India. We have created a WordPress site, cgnkindia.wordpress, and we are actually expecting funding. So we created the society, and we have posted our literature, all our material which we have on the website. And also we have like put up this idea of fundraising by means of contributing to the society. So like anyone who is interested may fund for the society. The funds then are to be used for training purpose or educational purposes, which we plan to do first at free of cost. So like even when I did the educational program at Philippines in the online webinar, it was free of cost. So at first we want to do it free of cost, but sometimes you need funds to do the promotion of your events. So that's one thing I suggest if anyone is interested, they can do.
Okay, so can you repeat the website again?
Yeah, it's cgnkindia.wordpress.
CGNK.
Okay, just can I it's CGNK. CGNK is Center for Global Non-Killing.
Okay.
cgnkindia.wordpress.
Okay. All right. So, what are some common misconceptions or myths about non-killing that you have encountered in your work?
Uh, Misconceptions about non-killing is firstly, people feel it's impossible. There are a lot of people who believe that non-killing is an impossible idea. I actually did a survey in my research wherein I tried to collect opinion of the people as to their belief in the possibility of a non-killing society. And a lot many people actually stated that um, it's impossible to achieve a non-killing world because there is always going to be some kind of problem, always some kind of uh, agency or any evil actor that will force you to kill. So like they said, they cited the terrorist activities as one thing, that you have the problems relating to terrorism, you have the problems relating to genocide, and when uh, when you catch these people, will it be possible that you let them go free? Because letting them go free would mean that you invite more killing. So either you kill them now, or that person will kill you later. Either ways, there shall be killing. So to counter that, I will tell you why that's a myth. Because lot many times we think that we have to react in the same manner as to how we are, uh, how people behaved with us. Uh, we as human beings have that potential that we can rise above the other person. That is, we don't necessarily have to behave as the other person. So if the other person is aggressive towards us, doesn't really mean that when you get the chance, when you get the opportunity, you can forgive the person or you can rise above. A lot many people feel that human nature is very basic or very primitive, and yes, the common misconception is basically that human nature uh, is violent, and it cannot be changed, and that it has been violent since the primitive times, and it still is violent. And whereas it can be changed, it can be molded. There are various factors, there are various ways by which human behavior can be molded. But I would say mostly people feel that it's something you cannot work upon. And when it's something you cannot reform, then obviously you have to take resort to killing to counter such base humans.
So, what are some of the ethical considerations and values that guide your research and advocacy in the field of non-killing?
Okay, so I would say reverence to human life, human dignity, and ethic. The concept of uh, spirituality. That is, uh, spirituality basically is that you have a soul, and you need to respect your soul just like you respect the other soul.
Mm.
These kind of ethical values, when you start having these kind of ethical values of spirituality, or even I would say the idea of human dignity or respect or reverence for life, these are some motivational factors which I would say which actually helped me in uh, moving forward with the topic.
Okay. So, can you share any success stories or positive outcomes from your efforts to promote the non-killing, the concept of non-killing?
Well, success stories. I mean, as in we have not used it in the field, but we can cite some of the people who actually relied on these methods. Uh, one one person is Martin Luther King Jr., who was a non-violent follower, and you see, when he was fighting for the civil rights, he primarily relied on the methodology of non-violence. There were instances wherein his people were attacked in a violent manner, and sometimes they were bombed and even killed. Even in such a scenario, he never resorted to turning aggressive against the oppressors. He still pursued his program of gaining equality by means of non-violence. So he is one of the most successful person. The Then you have okay. So I'll just explain to you with one more leader. This leader, his name was Candido Rondon. He was from Brazil. Now, he actually was, wanting to develop telegraph lines, and those lines had to be crossed through some native tribes of Brazil. They were called as the Chavante Indians. The local tribes, they had adverse. There was adversity between the government and the tribes, because the tribes they felt that the government has been oppressive to them. So you can say a compromise was needed, because they wanted to talk. So Candido Rondon had a motto, that is, die if necessary, but never kill. So he sent the first group of people to have a talk with these tribes. At first, these people listened. At first, people listened to him, but they they actually poisoned all the officials who came to talk to them. And later, when the bodies of these officials were found, it was not that these tribe was hunted down. Rather, Candidate Rondon sent another convoy.
Mm.
And the second time, when the people came to talk to them, they finally reached to a compromise situation. So you say, I think what happened was there initially they were distrustful of them. They suspected them, and they were not ready to believe at first. And the point is also right that once a person faces a lot much of oppression, and then suddenly you come and say that you want to shake hands with you and have friendship, it's not something which people easily
Yeah.
accept. So when after this incident also they stated that they still want to have friendly terms. So this time they finally agreed that okay, that probably the things have changed.
So
So
how
this was one of the success. So yes,
that was one success. That's a tough one after they poisoned them, they went back. So really, that's really I don't know if and how long ago it was did that happen?
I think this was somewhere in the 1950s or 60s.
Oh wow. 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 It'd be interesting to see if that would work today.
Ah, yeah.
So how do you stay informed about current developments and research in the field of non-killing?
Okay. For that, actually, we have our network of Center for Global Non-Killing, which is the head, which is basically headed by Dr. Jean Evans Pim. He holds all the material in a centralized place. So whenever there is any research development, whenever there is any conference relating to non-killing, it all is posted on the website. So whenever like we gradually go through the websites, also there are non-killing letters which are released. So you simply have to basically go to the website and sign up over there. So they release monthly newsletters also. Whenever any achievements come, they mail you. When once you have subscribed to the newsletters, you receive all the mails as to what all developments have taken place, whether it is in non-killing arts, literature, science, political science, mathematics, anything.
Okay. So what collaborations or partnerships have been instrumental in advancing the cause of non-killing? I heard you say like for students you did a course in the Philippines. So what are some
Yeah.
other?
Yeah, so this was one collaboration. Then there is an organization, AUAP, Association of Universities of Asia Pacific. The CGNK has also collaborated with this organization, so to promote the idea of non-killing. Um, the Philippines University also signed a memorandum with the AUP, and that's how they started this course on non-killing. I think the collaboration is initially when Jagran University was entering into this non-killing research domain. But yeah, so like it was signed during the period when Dr. Anup, who's the chairperson of the advisory board. So as he was heading the CGNK, and also he was the vice chancellor of the university. So we had introduced a non-killing department, a non-killing center at the university also. So these are some of the, I would say, these are some of the initiatives taken for collaboration.
Oh, wow. So what are some future trends or that you foresee in the non-killing movement?
The future trends, I would say, artificial intelligence is, I would say, one of the things that should be the future for non-killing, because with the immense potential that artificial intelligence provides, a lot of it we can a lot of problems can be solved by using this artificial intelligence. So we can basically take into account that how and what kind of impact will this artificial intelligence have on developing a killing free society, because it's, you see, its potential is vast. It's
Yeah.
positive, also negative, depends on how you use it. So there is a lot of scope over there.
Oh, wow. I agree with you. Our artificial intelligence is developing so much. It's just how we integrate it into what we do. So, talking about integration, how can the non-killing paradigm be integrated into policymaking and governance at local, national, and international levels?
One of the suggestions that have been made is to have a peace department or a non-killing department. In Canada, there is also a bill which is being in discussion, that is a Department of Peace. And there are countries like Costa Rica, Nepal, which have introduced either Department of Peace or Department of Happiness. Uh, you see, once they have this Department of Peace, they have actually enlisted what all policies this particular department shall be concerned with. So they have come out with, the only thing is it has not been passed in Canada. But the points over here is that you can have non-killing education in your course curriculum. You can train your officers, so whosoever like is involved in the field operation, they don't have the training to deal in a non-violent or non-killing manner. But that is why they rely on forceful or coercive measures to deal with the problems. So they can be trained in a manner by which they can, even apprehend the criminals and at the same time not kill them. So there are non-killing trainings techniques which can be provided before sending the police force or the security force into the field. So that's how policy making will be helpful.
Okay. So, what advice would you give to individuals who are interested in getting involved in the non-killing movement?
Okay, so as I suggested, firstly you'll have to read a lot about. Firstly, you'll have to read and understand what non-killing is, and that's pretty easily accessible on the website of the Center for Global Non-Killing. We have a whole lot of literature that is freely accessible over there. You can download all the books from there. And I would start, firstly, I would say that the first basic book that one who is interested in the ideology of non-killing the is the Non-Killing Global Political Science, that is written by Dr. Glenn D. Page. Now, actually, Dr. Glenn D. Page was the founding person of the whole ideology of non-killing. So he, in a very simple or and easy terms, has defined what non-killing is. It's and I mean it's the base book. Once you understand what non-killing is, then you can develop your own areas as well. And that, as I said, that book is easily accessible. you go onto the site of CGNK, start with the the book of non-killing global political science. And then after that, there are different branches. Like supposing if you are student of science, then we also have a book of non-killing mathematics. In fact, we also have a book relating to non-killing music that is called musicking.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so like there are people who have also researched into to this area, that how music can help in creating a killing-free society.
Oh,
So its branches are vast, whether it is science, whether it is maths, whether it is political science, whether it is anthropology, whether it is literature or music you are interested in. You can use any branch and still enter into the domain of non-killing.
so what are your hopes and aspirations for the future of non-killing and its impact on global peace and enlightenment?
Well, my hope is that uh, it is it is a goal which can be achieved, but I know that it would be a time-taking process, because you see, all good things take time,
Yes.
and we need to be patient. But at the same time, we also need to be dedicated and sincere towards the cause. Once we are able to uh, wholeheartedly dedicate towards the cause, I think it's pretty much an achievable goal. It's not something which is extremely utopian. It's I mean, it's something which we can achieve in near future. You don't have to really wait for centuries for a non-killing society to be formed. The only thing is realization, awareness. Once that is there, I hope we will have such a society.
Mm, yes. And as you said, it takes time, but we can definitely get there as a society.
Yes.
Well, we've come to the end of the podcast. I mean, I learned a lot listening to you, and I hope my listeners will learn a lot listening to you about the concept of non-killing and the difference between nonviolence and non-killing. So, Dr. Singh, thank you so much for coming on and educating us a lot about the non-killing paradigm. And it was a pleasure having you on, and we'd love to have you on again. So thank you so much for taking some time to talk with Lads.
Thank you, Karya. It was a pleasure meeting you and listening to you. I really enjoyed your show.
All right, thank you. All right.